All right. Good morning. How we doing? Oh, you guys are asleep. It's third period, right? You guys should be awake by now. Let's try that. Good morning. I've had lots of caffeine, so this is going to be fun for me. My name is Mr. Trosh, one of the counselors here at Claremont High School, and I'm joined today by Miss Silva, one of our counselors here as well. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to talk today about college applications. Before we jump into everything I need to cover, let me talk first. Let me ask this question first. How many of you guys plan to apply to a four-year school this year? You want to go to a four-year college after Claremont High School? Give me your hand raised. Okay, perfect. How many of you guys want to go to community college next year? Raise your hand. Perfect. Okay. Marines or any kind of military? Nobody here? Okay. Trade schools? Nobody here? Perfect. Just gives us an idea who I'm talking to. So we're going to be talking a lot about four-year colleges. We're going to talk also about some community college stuff today. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay. And the first thing I want to talk about is actually not on this sheet, but probably should be. And that is making sure you have an appropriate email address. Okay. Let's talk about appropriate email addresses. This has now been quite a few years, but when I got here probably 10 years ago, I have a friend who is a reader for UC Berkeley. And this friend at UC Berkeley called me one day and said, hey, Jeremy, Mr. Trosh, I got an issue with one of your kids who applied. It was a colleague of hers who got this application. I was reading the application, and this particular student happened to reference a part of the female anatomy within their email address. Guess who got denied to UC Berkeley? You guys get that? And some of your email addresses are a lot worse than that. I'm just kidding. Seriously, though, some of you have email addresses that are not appropriate. Others of you have appropriate email addresses that you never, ever check. True? Okay. Guys, college's primary method of communication to you will be through your email. You need to be checking your email on a regular basis. What is a regular basis? Daily. I like daily. That's the right answer. Okay. At the very least, a couple times a week. Does that make sense? Okay. You need to be checking it regularly. Now, some of you are like, oh, Mr. Trosh, I can have an appropriate email address. I'm just going to use my Claremont High School email address. Yes? None of you check your Claremont High School email address. Let's just be honest. Trust me, we know. We try to email you and you don't check it. Okay? My suggestion, go to Gmail. Create a Gmail email address for yourself just for colleges, right? Okay? And make that email appropriate. Make sense? Put that email address on your phone so you get notifications when you get a new email from that particular email address. Does that make sense? Good with that? Perfect. Let's jump into what's on the document here. We're going to start with step one, and that is going to be getting a list of schools together. We're going to start by talking about college fit. So I need a volunteer. Raise your hand. Need a volunteer. I promise you don't even have to stand up. Just need a volunteer. I'm going to start picking. Who's my son?
We have
Who's
a volunteer.
my victim? Ah, volunteer. Perfect. Okay, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you bought a pair of jeans? 3 weeks ago. How long did it take you to find that pair of jeans?
Like an hour.
Probably like an hour. For real, an hour? That included travel time?
Oh, no.
Like once you got there, how long did it take you?
3 hours.
What is wrong with the kids today?
The guy has style. What are you
Yes,
going to do?
apparently you got more style. Okay. No offense. We try somebody else. Last time you bought a pair of jeans. How long did it take you? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay. Like, why did it take you that long?
Because I was far, so I go travel.
Well, not that I said don't conclude the travel time. Why does it take you so long? No? You say it again?
I need to make sure my jeans are good.
You need to make sure your jeans are good. What do you mean by that?
The ones I like.
They're the ones you like? That they fit you well?
Yeah.
Right? All right. The word fit, that's going to be important here. Okay. So, I won't tell the joke. I'll keep going. Okay. You need to make sure your jeans fit you, right? Okay. This is the same for colleges. You are looking for colleges that fit you. What does college fit mean? Okay. Let's talk about those jeans for a second. If the jeans don't fit you, what are you doing with them? Taking them back, or you're never going to wear them, right? Okay, or guess where? They're going to Goodwill. True. Okay, so if the jeans don't fit you, you're not wearing them. They're going to Goodwill. You're taking it back. Something's just not going to happen, right? Okay, if a college doesn't fit you, you're going to transfer. You're not going to finish. At the very least, you're going to be really uncomfortable with them for 4 years. This is 4 years of your life. Okay, some of you it's 2 years if you do community college first, but it's going to be 4 years of your life total. Okay, if it doesn't fit you, you're going to be miserable. Does that make sense? Finding a good college fit is a really important part of this whole process. So when I say college fit, what specifically am I referring to? Let's start with the easy one. Okay, you guys live in Southern California, right? True? Okay. Has anybody lived for an extended period of time, so like more than a year, outside of Southern California? Anybody in here?
We have a hand.
Where? Washington, D.C. Okay, where? Germany. India. Okay, pause for a second here. Washington, D.C. Is the climate... Anybody who lived outside of Southern California? Okay, let's go with Washington, D.C. for a second. Okay, I'm going to pick on you. Is the climate different in Washington, D.C.? How so? Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. You're in Washington, D.C., and in the summer, here it's 105 in the summer, right? We walk outside, and it's like, oh, it's hot out here, right? What happens when you walk outside of Washington, D.C. in the summer when it's 105? It's humid. So you literally walk out, and you are soaked from head to toe within a minute. And that's not from rain. It's from your own sweat, right? Okay, trust me, you've not felt heat unless you've been in that kind of humidity before. Okay, if you're like, I can't handle that kind of thing, then maybe going to school in Washington, D.C. is not right for you. Does that make sense? Okay, let's say you want to go to school in the Pacific Northwest. What happens in the Pacific Northwest in the winter? Anybody know? I'll give you, yeah, what happens?
If I remember, it snows. Like
some places it snows.
Or hail.
But every single place it rains. And when I say rains, I don't mean like, oh, hey, it rained for an hour like it does in California. No, it rains nonstop for months at a time. Think about that for a second here. Okay, you're in Southern California. It rains like, oh, it's so nice to have rain. In Oregon and Washington, it rains and you're like, when is this going to stop? It doesn't ever stop. Okay? So when we talk about college fit, part of what you're looking at is your location. Where do you want to go? Is it you're going to stay local in Southern California because you're used to the weather, the culture? Or are you going to go to some place like Washington where it rains constantly? You have to be thinking about those things when you're looking at your college fit. Another piece of this, another big piece of college fit is the size of the campus. Anybody know how many students are at Claremont High School? Anybody? Give me a guess.
I already know there's like at least 2,000 seniors, so putting all that together.
Not 2,000 seniors.
2,000, 3,000 students.
Not 3,000. You're close though.
2,000.
It's about 2,300. 2,300 students at Claremont High School. Claremont High School is actually a tiny school. When you look at it from a college perspective, we would be incredibly small as a college. Okay? You go to a UC, you're looking at 40,000 students on those campuses. Cal State, about 15 to 20,000 students. You guys see what I'm talking about? Okay. If you're looking at Claremont and you're thinking, man, that Claremont is a really big school. Okay. Just wait until you get to a UC. You need to think about how you do in those kind of environments. Story time. Okay. Back when I was your age, many, many years ago, when I applied to colleges, one of the places I applied was UCLA. Okay. I love UCLA. The school I really wanted to go to. I got into UCLA. I was very proud of that. I will be honest with you. If it was by today's admission standards, I would not get into UCLA. It's far more competitive for you guys than it was for me. This is back when I actually, not a joke, used a typewriter. I'm that old to fill out a college application. Okay. So applied to UCLA, got into UCLA. I was going to UCLA. Okay. May rolls around and UCLA does this freshman admit day, and you got to come on campus. You got to tour the campus. I walked in there and I literally said to myself, I won't say what I said because it wasn't a good word. I literally said to myself, holy cow, I can't do this. Not quite those words. Okay. Because I'm an introvert. I know that surprises some of you. I am. I don't like being in front of people. I don't like being in big crowds of people. Okay. It intimidated me like nothing else. And I actually pulled my admissions offer from UCLA and I applied someplace else. I ended up going to a small liberal arts college not too far from here and loved every single minute of it because it was small. It was about the size of what Claremont High School is, and it was perfect for what I needed. Okay? You need to find what fits you. And I would rather you look at that now when you're thinking about where you're applying than when you've already been accepted and started to pay money, or you're already attending there and you have to find a new pair of jeans to wear. Does that make sense? You guys get that? Okay. There's a whole video on finding colleges that talks about fit. It's that one right there, that QR code. Go ahead and watch that on your own. Let's jump down to the next thing, and that is going to be letters of recommendation. So part of this college application process for some of you is going to be getting letters of recommendation. First of all, who writes your letters of recommendation? Does anybody know? Who actually writes letters of recommendation for you? Who?
Teachers.
Teachers and?
Employers.
Not employers. Not for this purpose.
Counselors.
Me or Miss Silva. Or your counselor, actually. We get to write your letters of recommendation along with your teachers. Okay? So let's talk about what colleges need recommendations and which colleges don't need recommendations. If you're applying to private schools, you need letters of recommendation, period. Okay? Typically, that's 1 counselor letter and 2 teacher letters. Now, you don't get to pick your counselor, but you do get to pick your teachers. Does that make sense? Okay? If you're applying to UCs or Cal States, they don't require and they don't read recommendations, so you don't need them. However, if you are applying for any scholarships, you will need letters of recommendation. I will be honest with you, I will tell my students when I meet with them starting next week, yeah, you probably should write a letter for me, even if you're not applying to a private school. Okay? Because I would rather have that prepared for you for when you do need it for scholarships than having to scramble at the last minute to write you a letter that may not be as good as it could be because I didn't have that information up front. Does that make sense? Good so far? Community college students, you're like, does Citrus require a letter of recommendation? Does Chafee require a letter of recommendation? The answer is no, they don't require letters of recommendation. Again, unless you're applying for scholarships or other special programs. Citrus College, as an example, has an honors program. That honors program, if you're really a good student, will get you into things like better transfer agreements. So if you wanted to go to, let's say, UCLA after you transfer, being part of the honors program, which requires a letter of recommendation, can help facilitate that for you. Okay, with letters of recommendation, let's talk about how you do this. So our job as your counselor is to write you a letter of recommendation that represents you as a whole person. Okay? That's a big task. Okay? There's not a single counselor here who knows their students well enough to write a really phenomenal letter. Now, I know my students really well, I think. Okay? I don't know any one of my students well enough to write a good letter. This is why we need you to complete the counselor questionnaire. If you take a look at the QR codes, it's on the second line, the first one. That's a direct link to the counselor questionnaire. It's 22 questions long, and it provides me with information to write you a letter. Let me kind of talk with you about how we write letters, okay? I will get anywhere between 50 and 70 requests for letters every year. This year, I'll have between 50 and 70 requests for letters, okay? Each one of those letters, I will spend approximately, on average, 2 hours writing. Think about that for a second. We spend a lot of time writing these letters because my job is to sell you as the whole person. My job is to encapsulate everything about you in 1.5 to 2 pages. Think about that. It's a pretty big task to do, okay? Your job is to give me enough information to write an effective letter. Now, every single year, I will get somebody who submits a 26-page single-spaced with pictures for their counselor questionnaire. I'm telling you, somebody will do that this year. Every year that happens. Okay. Also, every single year, I will get a 1-page, maybe a 3/4 page counselor questionnaire. Okay. By the way, that 1 page tends to be an IB student. Not saying anything, but that's just what tends to happen. Who gets a better letter?
Probably 26 pages.
Why? More details. I have more to write about. Now, your counselors, we are not using ChatGPT. You need to know that, okay? These have to be personalized letters. So for us, this is all individualized and personalized, okay? If I don't have enough information to write about you with, I can't really give your colleges the information that they need to make a decision. Does that make sense? So 26 pages, by the way, is way too long. Do not write that much. It is 22 questions long. Honestly, you look at half a page per question, maybe a little bit less. That should be all you're looking at. It should not be that long. 10 pages is like the perfect one, in my opinion. It makes sense, guys? Okay. So spend a little time working on your counselor questionnaire. Don't do this the night before it's due. Spend some time working on this. Now, your teacher letters are going to be different than your counselor letters. Mrs. Stein's job is not to represent you as a whole person. Her job is to represent who you are in your classroom. Because colleges want to see who you are as a person, but they also want to see who you are as a student. It's two different letters. So she will have a separate set of questions that she's going to be working on. Does that make sense? Both of those questions, both the materials are going to be due on September 22nd. There are details on how to submit them in that QR code right there. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions so far before we jump on? Yes.
So basically for the counselor and teacher materials, that's where you want to go for the letters of recommendation.
Correct. You got it. Yep. Counselor materials is for the counselors. Teachers is for the teachers, and there's directions on how to submit them. Okay. I'm going to hand this over to Ms. Silva. She's going to talk with you about college applications right now.
Okay, guys. So for college applications, I'm going to circle back to that email address. Please make sure that you have an appropriate email address that is designated for college applications. You don't want it to have spam from things you sign up for where you have 2,000 unread emails and you're filtering through trying to find Cal State Fullerton's messages to you, okay? Have a designated email for that to make it easier for yourself and more accessible. The other thing you're going to find under the application websites is the links to all of the application websites. We have the Common Application, we have the Coalition app, we have the Cal State Apply, and the UC application website. All of those are going to be for different types of schools. Cal States are going to be designated for Cal States. The UCs are going to be designated for UCs. The Common app is going to be for the private universities and a few out-of-state colleges as well. But those are the ones that are going to have essays that you have to write. These essays are not like the essays that you're writing in your English class. This is a different type of writing. So in a way, you're kind of going to throw out what you're learning in this class and you're going to write more personally. You are trying to essentially sell yourself and set yourself apart from other candidates to get you into whatever school that you're trying to get into. These essays are 650 words, and it's not too long-winded, but it's enough to kind of sell yourself and say what you have to say. So please take the time to do that, and you are welcome to show us that when we get to later on. We're going to talk about the learning labs that we're going to have for going through these applications line by line with you, one-on-one, and we also will read those essays for you and help you with submitting those. Okay. You want to make sure that you write down your passwords. I know that all of our phones and laptops autosave, but it is a good idea to write down. That's why there's space here. You don't have to do it on this paper, but it's recommended that you write down your username and your passwords. How many times have anybody done a password and it says, oh, you've already used this password, and you're like trying to come up with new passwords? You forget. I know we all have like a password we use, but you will forget. And so this is super helpful. So that way you're able to access your application. Another thing you're going to want to do when applications have different opening dates, you can start your applications and without submitting it that same day. You can save your progress. So when an application opens, make sure that if you open it and you start it, that you're saving your progress at least every 30 minutes so you don't lose what you've already done. Okay. This is going back to that learning lab. You're really going to want to utilize your counselors to go through the applications with you, because we've seen thousands of applications and have helped many students submit them properly. There's cases where students do not enter their classes correctly, and that application goes in that trash can. Not that trash can, but in a trash can. Okay. It's super important. There are so many students who are applying to these universities, and they are looking for a reason to throw out your application and to not admit you. So please take the time, be dedicated in what you're doing, purposeful, and make sure that you're utilizing all the resources that we're offering you.
All right, quickly, take a look. There's this nice little bolded and like flashy thing on here. It says, don't miss your deadlines. Ms. Stein, if one of my students here turns in something late, what is your late work policy?
They can turn it in up until the last day of the triad for just like reduced credit.
Okay, so in the college application process, there is no reduced credit. If you turn something in late, it's not that they don't accept what you turn in late. Your entire application goes in here. Does that make sense? Everything gets thrown away. You cannot miss deadlines for college applications. Make sure you are organized. Make sure you're watching those deadlines. Make sure that you are staying on top of those deadlines. Okay. We are going to talk very briefly at the end about college deadlines and some suggestions we're going to have, but make sure you're meeting those. You want to do transcripts next? Or test scores, excuse me.
Oh, test scores. So SAT and ACTs are no longer necessary for UCs and Cal States. Some schools still do need those scores, but most are kind of going optional with them. So if you know what, we're going back to that school list, when you make that list of schools, it's important that you look up what they need. If you know I'm only applying to Cal States and UCs, perfect. You don't need to take the SAT or ACT. It's a one less thing you have to worry about during your senior year. If you're applying to a mix of schools, private, Cal States, community, if you're keeping your options wide, then you're going to want to look at the individual schools to see if that is needed. You can also come and talk to your counselor, and we can help you with that. We can help you see what materials you're going to need to apply to specific colleges. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. It is a good thing that, you know, it's one less thing you have to worry about. They're test optional now, so a lot of schools are.
Let's talk transcripts. So this is on the back side on step 5. So for transcripts, there are 3 different types of transcripts. If you look down at the key terms, you'll see that you have what's called an initial transcript. The initial transcript is the transcript we send that has your junior year grades on it. Okay, so this will be for students applying early action, early decision for private schools. This is what's going to be sent along with your letters of recommendation. It's going to be an initial transcript. Then there's the mid-year transcript. Mid-year transcripts were sent after the end of first semester. Some schools will call it a 7th semester transcript. It's the same thing. Then your final transcript is at the end. You've graduated. Woohoo, yay, throw the cap. And then your transcript gets sent to the college you're attending afterwards. That's the final transcript. Okay, there was a time, this is many years ago, but there was a time when transcripts cost you $10 per transcript. I have kids applying to 20 schools. There are some kids with a $400 transcript bill. That's how much it used to cost. Because it was 10 for every initial, 10 for every mid-year, and 10 for your final. Not a joke, $400 transcript bills. Okay, we thought that was ridiculous as counselors. We went to our district and said, no, this is stupid. We need to stop doing this. And they agreed, and we made it $20 for all the transcripts, meaning you pay one $20 fee and everything gets sent after that. Does that make sense? Okay. Do not pay more than $20, period, for transcripts. Every year, somebody comes in with like a $300 receipt from ASB saying, okay, I bought my transcripts. It's really hard to get ASB to refund people. We refund them. Don't do that. It's $20. That's the max you should pay. Now, that's the max you should pay because I'm saying that on purpose Because if you're only applying to Cal State's, UC's, or community colleges, don't buy any transcripts. UC's and Cal State's do not require a transcript up front. They only require a final transcript once you've been admitted and you've accepted those admissions. Okay, that final transcript we're going to send for free. Don't pay for it. Fair enough? You guys get this? Okay, community colleges, same thing. They don't require transcripts. We're going to send it for free. Don't pay for it. You guys get this? Okay, if you don't need to pay for transcripts, don't pay for them. Everybody good on that? Okay. If you qualify for free and reduced lunch, this is important. You qualify for free and reduced lunch, meaning you actually do the application, not just you get free lunch, everybody gets free lunch. I mean, you actually do the application and you qualify for it. You are going to qualify for free transcripts. You're going to qualify for free SATs and ACTs, and you're going to qualify for free applications. So if you think you might be in that category financially where you might qualify for that, come and talk with us. We'll help you get that started for you. But it's really something you want to do in order to get those free applications. Good so far? Okay, let's talk a little bit more about transcripts. How, once you've paid the fee, what do you do next? If you're doing private schools and you have letters of rec, you're going to add that transcript receipt from ASB to your letter recommendation materials. There's a place to upload it. And then you're going to add the schools that require transcripts in school links. There's a QR code on the right-hand side that shows you exactly how to do that. Okay? Here's a hint. Not hard, but if you're like, I'm totally lost, perfect. We have a solution for that. It's called College App Labs. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, let's jump down. I want to go to the key terms, and I'm going to go over the key dates. Okay, so some key terms. We already talked about the transcripts. I'm going to skip over that, and I'm going to jump down to the FAFSA. Actually, no. I'm jumping down to Western University Exchange. Excuse me. That's up there a little bit further. This is the WUI. Okay, what is this? If you're looking at public schools outside of California, okay, so let's say you're going to go up to Oregon, you want to go to Oregon State University, okay? If you're looking at public schools outside of California, some of those schools are part of WUI, Western University Exchange. If you were to go to Oregon State as a California student, because you don't pay Oregon taxes, you're going to go and you're going to pay out-of-state tuition. Out-of-state tuition is typically double in-state tuition. It's expensive, okay? So Oregon State's going to charge you out-of-state tuition, double what you would pay if you were an in-state student. If you go to Oregon State, but you go through the Western University Exchange, you're paying tuition and a half, so 150%. It's a significant savings over going just directly to Oregon State. You're still an Oregon State student, you're just applying through a different methodology. Now, WUI does not include every school, so it depends on the schools you want to go to. It does not include every school out of state. And even within those schools, so Oregon State is my example. If I wanted to be a nursing major at Oregon State, WUI does not participate with that particular major. So it depends on the major, it depends on the school. But if you're looking at a school that's public outside of California, absolutely you should be looking at WUI. Okay. Next thing down there is going to be the FAFSA. And I'm going to briefly talk about this today because I want you to know what it is, but there are some key things coming up that you're going to want to pay attention to. What is the FAFSA? It stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Okay, this is the gateway for all financial aid. Okay, the FAFSA is going to be required by every college and university, including community colleges. And most of those schools will not give you any financial aid, including academic aid that you've earned, without a FAFSA on file. Does that make sense? Okay, so this opens up lots of financial aid, not just federal grants, not just loans, but other financial aid that you won't get, like the Cal Grant as an example, without completing the FAFSA. Okay, FAFSA actually opens October 1st. It says December 1st because Mr. Trosh fell asleep at the wheel when he wrote this. That was actually last year's opening date was December 1st, and I just missed it in changing it. It is October 1st that it opens. We'll get that corrected for when we send it out tonight. Okay. Moving down here a little bit further, we're going to skip CSS profile. If you're applying to private schools, you may have to do one extra step. That's pretty rare these days, so most of you won't even have to worry about that. I want to talk about early action, early decision, and rolling admissions. What on earth do those things mean? Okay, when you're applying to private schools, you're going to have different application options. Okay, there's going to be early decision, early action. They both have the word early in it, and they're similar because you get to apply a little bit earlier and you get to know earlier. So typically the deadline for these two is going to be November 1st, sometimes November 15th. And you almost always know in December. Okay, so you get to know a lot earlier. Most people get to know in March. You'll get to know earlier. Apply early action, early decision. You get to know earlier. In addition to that, your admissions chances actually go up a little bit. So they have a higher admissions rate from early action and early decision students. Okay, the difference between the two: early decision is what we call binding. Binding means that when you apply to this school, you are guaranteeing your spot at that school. It doesn't matter what the financial aid comes out as. That's where you're going to be. Does that make sense? So you should only be applying early decision if you are 100% sure that that's the school you're going to go to. This is for the person who has a legacy. You have a grandparent, a dad, all of these people went to that school and you're like, this is where I'm going to be. That's who applies early decision. Does that make sense? Okay, early action is non-binding, which means you can apply early action, and if you get in and that financial aid offer comes back and it's like, no, that isn't going to work, you don't have to go there. Does that make sense? You can do multiple early actions. That's the other difference. Early decision, you can only do one school. With early action, you can do as many as you want. Okay. The last time on there is going to be rolling admissions. Okay. Regular decision and rolling admissions are very similar. So regular decision just means you're applying in typically late December, January, February, sometimes into March. That's what that typically means. Rolling admissions, though, means when you apply, you're going to get notified by that school typically within a few weeks. So you're not going to have to wait until March to be notified. Typically going to know within a few weeks. So schools like Azusa Pacific, schools like University of Laverne, they'll actually have both, but they'll have rolling admissions where you apply and within a few weeks, you're going to know whether you got in or not. Okay. Those are the differences there. All right. Skipping over, we're going to move just to the right of that, and we're going to look at important dates. And these are going to be important. I want you to get a highlighter out or a pencil out to circle some things right now. Okay. Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, any college, university, including community colleges, is going to require the FAFSA. So you should all be filling that out. Okay. And trade schools. Yep. Okay. So let's take a look real quickly here at important dates. Okay. The first one on there is going to be what I did on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I had a little meeting with about 200 of your parents. Okay, and we went over some of the same information I'm sharing with you now. By the way, that's a really good information for you to watch as well. I send out a Canvas message to you that has a link to that video. You're going to get another Canvas message that has a link to the video I'm recording now and also that video as well. Okay. Then, of course, the next date is actually today. Following that, we are going to be meeting with you one-on-one to talk about your credits. That's the credit checks. Okay, that starts next week. Okay. When we meet with you, we're going to ask you some questions. One of the questions that we're going to ask you is, what's your plan after high school? Okay. Here's what I want to hear. Mr. Troche, I'm thinking about community college. Mr. Troche, I'm thinking about Cal States. Mr. Troche, I'm thinking about private schools. I want to know that. And you're going to see your counselor writing furiously to take those notes, because we want to be able to connect you with the people that can help you with that. So for example, you tell me, Mr. Troche, I'm thinking about community college. Here's what's going to happen next. The next step for me is I'm getting your name on a list, and those call slips are going to come out to you when Citrus College comes to do early decision. Because I want you to meet with my Citrus College reps to get you started on that process. This is just one of the ways that we help you go through that process. Make sense? Okay. After that one is, it's going to be letter of rec deadline. Sorry, there we go. Again, this is September 22nd. If you're like, I don't know if I need one, come ask me. Come during lunch and talk with me. Speaking of coming during lunch, the next thing down there is college application labs. Okay, Ms. Silva mentioned this earlier. I've been doing this for 19 years. I think I have either done, myself personally, or I have helped with probably 20,000 plus applications over those time frames. Think about that for a second. We do this a lot. How many times have you done a college app?
Never.
0. You guys get this? We are here to help you. Okay, let me explain what happens. Tuesdays and Thursdays during lunchtime, every one of your counselors, unless they have a meeting, it will be in the library. We will stay in the library. Only seniors are allowed in to see us. There's no freshmen. This is why we do it over there, because if we did it here, we'd have freshmen constantly. It's only seniors allowed in the library to work with us on college apps. Okay? Ms. Silva mentioned this earlier. The Cal State app in particular can really mess you up. Okay? Before you hit submit, you need to make sure you've met with a counselor on that app. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's going to happen every Tuesday and Thursday. While I'm talking about that, actually, no, that comes with December 1st. December 1st deadline. That's the deadline for Cal States and UCs, right? If that's the deadline for Cal States and UCs, when are you going to be done?
When should you be done? When should you have hit submit?
Yes.
Mid-November, maybe early December.
Not early December, but mid-November is correct. Okay. I want you to be completing all your applications at least 1 week in advance. But for the UCs and the Cal States, I want 2 weeks in advance. Let me explain why. I have worked at Claremont High School for 19 years. In my 19 years, 19 different college application seasons, every single year, the Cal State and the UC app have crashed. Now, sometimes it's been for minutes, maybe an hour. Sometimes it's for days. And here's what happens. You're on there on December 1st. It's 11:57 p.m. You're ready to hit submit, and all of a sudden you can't submit. Submit. You keep hitting it. It doesn't submit because the system has crashed. Guess who doesn't care? The UCs and the Cal States. That's your mistake. Okay? So, every college application at least a week in advance. For the Cal States and the UCs, I want 2 weeks in advance. And here's the reason why. What happens the week before December 1st? Really important date. Most important date, in my opinion, all year long. What is that? What's the week before? December 1st. Last week of November. Happens every year. It's Thanksgiving. We're on Thanksgiving break, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. Trosh is going to be fat and happy on turkey. Guess what I'm not looking at? My emails. So, you run into a problem, you have a question, guess who's not going to be available to help you? Your counselors. We would love to see you complete your applications 2 weeks before that December 1st deadline, because if there is a problem, we have a week to help you figure it out. Does that make sense, guys? Okay? You guys get this? Okay. Again, what's the best time to talk with a counselor about college applications? Somebody tell me. Yes.
Tuesday and Thursday in the lab.
Tuesday and Thursday in the library during lunchtime. You guys get that? All right. The last thing I want to highlight on this list, and this is really important, is going to be the October 20th date. This is my financial aid night. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, we as counselors know a lot about financial aid. We can absolutely help you. But the person coming on October 20th, she actually is a financial aid officer at a university. She is the one who is actually telling you what financial aid you're getting for her university. She is amazing. She knows way more than we do. You don't want to miss this. And more importantly, you don't want your parents to miss this. So make sure your parents know that that's coming up. Trust me, we're going to tell them. But we want you to make sure they're there as well. Okay? All right. I have blah, blah, blah quite a bit. Do I have any questions at all? Yes.
For example, it's kind of a specific situation, but I'm thinking of going to community college and then transferring it like afterwards.
You brought it up. I love it. Okay.
I'm looking to go to like a 4-year or something. What's a good way? Because I'm not going to be. What's a good way to get letters of recommendation?
Okay. So let me start with the community college piece of it first. Okay. So the question was, I'm looking at going from a community college to a 4-year school. How does that work? Letters of recommendation, those kinds of things. Yeah. Okay. Start with the community college first. When you go to a community college, okay, you spend 2 years at the community college and you become what's called a transfer student. Okay. Those 2 years at community college, you're not just wasting time. What you're doing is you're taking all of your general education requirements. Okay. So you get these same classes that you would get at the 4-year school, but you get to take them into community college where it's cheaper and actually, for the most part, easier to get to Okay, you take those community college classes for 2 years, you transfer to the 4-year university. You're not spending 4 years there, you're spending 2 years there. 2 plus 2, total of 4 years. You get a bachelor's degree that says UCLA and not UCLA plus Citrus. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's a simple process. Now here's the other benefit of it. When you transfer, when you're a transfer student, you earned enough community college credits, they don't care what you did in high school. They don't care about your grades in high school at that point, actually. They're looking only at your transfer grades for UCs and Cal States. Private schools do actually look at high school grades too. Okay, but generally speaking, they're only looking at your transfer grades. That also means the recommendations that you will be required to get should be from the community college professors at that point. Does that make sense? Okay. So community college is a phenomenal option because it saves you money, but it actually, in addition to the money savings, increases your chances of getting into a 4-year school. So I'm going to use UCLA as my example, only because I'm really well aware of it. If you want to go to UCLA right now as a undergraduate freshman, meaning you're going to graduate this year, you're going to be a freshman next year, undergraduate freshman, your admissions rate is below 8%, meaning they reject more than 92% of their applicants at UCLA. If, however, you were to go to a transfer program at Citrus College and then transfer to UCLA, your admission rate jumps up to like 23% last time I looked. Almost triple. If you are an honors student at Citrus College and you apply to UCLA, your transfer rate is now above 50%. So your chances of getting into a place that's more prestigious is much higher when you are a transfer student. Here's the reason why. From a college perspective, they know how you're going to do when you get to college because you've already shown them for 2 years. So they can take a bigger gamble on you as a student. They're going to want more students from the community colleges because they already can see how you're going to perform in college. Does that make sense? So community colleges are also a great option if you want to get into more competitive schools down the road. Great questions. Other question? Nobody? Yep. It's a great school, huh? Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
It's just a hypothetical question, but is it possible to skip college entirely and just go to the university?
So is it possible? So universities and colleges, what is the difference between the two? I think that's a better answer to that. Okay. So a university, generally speaking, is just a college that's larger. So like UCLA, and as opposed to Pomona College is a private school. It's tiny. It's just a larger college. Universities tend to have more programs available to students. So university and college is the same thing. Okay. The only difference would be if you were looking at a community college. That's a 2-year program designed to get you to transfer, or a 2-year program designed to give you a career or a skill. Does that make sense?
So like, for example, going to Citrus for like 2 years, it's basically just a transfer program.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Now you could go to Citrus. Let's say you're interested in, actually I'm going to use not Citrus, I'm going to use Mount Sac. Let's say you're interested in fire academy. You want to be a firefighter. Okay. There's no 4-year college that's going to have a firefighter academy. That's going to be Mount Sac. And theirs is actually the best in the area. So you actually want to go to Mount Sac for that particular career. Does that make sense? So at community colleges have a transfer program, but they also have career-based programs that can help with that. Okay. Good questions. Question.
So next week we're doing the senior credit checks, right?
Yep.
Yep. I don't have any.
I knew that was coming up. Thank you for asking that. So, Mr. Trosh, I don't have a social science class. When is my counselor going to say, don't worry, we actually know who you are. We already have a list. We are literally going to write cost lists for you, and we're going to see you at some point next week.
All right.
So don't worry about that. That's normal. That happens every year like that. Yep. Great questions. Other question? No? Ms. Silva, did I miss anything?
We didn't talk too much about the essays.
Perfect. I'll let you do that.
So if you see, we have a QR code right here on video on essay writing tips. Please utilize this. We did talk about the personal essay a little bit for the college, for the Common App, but what you're going to want to also look up is personal insight questions. This is for specifically the UCs if you're applying to a UC. you can look up the university that you want to go to and look up what their personal insight questions are. It's accessible. You could just Google it, and that can give you some practice and let you start thinking about what your answers might want to look like. Something to also note is CSUs do not require essays. The application will not have an essay or question like that. So that's why we stress so much on getting everything proper and done correctly, because you don't have anything setting you apart like a personal insight question. The application has to be airtight, okay? So use the learning labs to take advantage of someone that's going to help review that for you. Okay.